Over the course of the last few days, I've looked at thousands of ads that we launched for clients in November, and I've pulled out 5 of the best performing creatives so that you can look at these ideas, look at these templates, translate them directly into your brand and see better performance on Facebook ads. Now, I want to pre-frame this video because there's going to be a lot of creative analysis going into why we believe these ads worked and how you can use that moving forward in time. But this all underlines a core concept, which is that we believe that there is a bar of quality that needs to be hit for the probability of an ad to perform well to be adequately high. If you put a terribly designed creative in an account with no fundamental performance marketing principles, it is likely not going to perform well. But at a certain level, it is almost impossible to predict the likelihood of an ad performing well once you cross this threshold. And what I mean by that is that if you went and took 20 ads, and I'm not going to draw them all, but imagine there's 20 ads up here. And then I asked a bunch of fantastic creative strategists, I asked a bunch of fantastic media buyers, which of these ads is actually going to be the best performer in the account? No one's going to be able to accurately predict it, particularly at volume over time. And so the goal isn't to be able to identify out of these 20 well-designed, with good performance marketing principle creatives are going to perform well. Instead, the goal is just maximize volume and put as many of these as possible in the account, and Facebook will distribute spend accordingly into the ones that do perform well. And the goal is to be above this bar of quality and be able to identify where that quality sits and then maximize volume. And so when I'm talking about the principles in this, I'm going to be diving into how you can make similar ads to the concepts that we're about to show, and you can introduce them into the account. But by no means does that mean that these will perform well for you. By no means does that mean that you only make one of these ads and test it. You need to make 5, 6 different iterations with different raw images, raw hooks. And if you do that for all 5 creatives here, you'll likely get something that will perform well in the account and will provide incremental spend or better efficiency. So with that being said, let's dive into ad number 1. And now this is going to be a relatively simple call out as to why this ad actually performs so well in November and in December as well. And it's the gifting angle. So it's the fact that we're focused around gifting. This is a kids product. And so this generally isn't being bought for themselves. This is being bought by a parent or a family member or a family friend even, which is then buying the product and following through to purchase as a gift. And so really, it's just the fact that we leaned into gifting here, which is the core reason for purchase of this particular product that performs incredibly well during November and December, which is the gifting months. And so if you don't have a gifting angle within your ad account at the moment, strongly recommend introducing some gifting ads, particularly during November and December, but these obviously also work well all year round. Ad number 2. This is a bit of an extreme one, but the point here is that it's an angle of humor, which fits into the branding of this particular brand. It fits into the messaging and they can get away with it, and it goes incredibly viral on the platform. And so if you have some kind of way that you can come in with some innuendo or some way to cut through the market and the general messaging within ads from a humorous angle, and it can fit within your branding, this is a great way to have an ad go viral, meaning CPMs go down because there's such positive engagement and people are sharing it with all of their friends. These end up doing incredibly well despite being so simple. This is an incredibly simple static ad with just a basic headline, but obviously it cuts through. Number 3, this isn't one of the creatives we made. This is just a generic ad, but the reason why I put it here is because there was about 5 or 6 of these that crushed it during November. And so this is a long-term template that everyone knows about, which is just a you versus them or an us versus them. But they perform incredibly well in almost every single industry. I was going to pull in all 5 here, but I didn't want to overwhelm you with a bunch of different templates when it's really just as simple as having a, what is our product? What is their product? Why are we better off 4 core categories? Now, does this necessarily work on cold targeting on first impression? Probably not. You would want this introduced as a piece of diversity within a larger creative set within the account. This is going to work well middle of funnel once someone has generated awareness, or this might bring people in and then they convert through other creatives. Really important concept here is that Facebook will typically not serve an ad to a user more than 3 times, and it will then go and serve a different ad. And the reason being is that the probability of purchase after 3 impressions of an identical creative goes down to almost 0. And so this ad is either being served to people to warm them up and then they're converting off another ad. But generally speaking, just based on how well this creative type gets attributed ROAS on last click, means that this is likely following up after they've had impressions of other ads and is actually closing conversions. Ad number 4. Now, why did I throw this in here? Because this seems like a really simple ad with no design. It's just a static image with some basic copy. And how is this performing so well? The reason why I put this in here is just to go back to the concept that I mentioned right at the beginning, which is that you have this bar of quality that you want to be exceeding and maximizing volume above. And as long as you're hitting the bar of quality that you deem relevant for your particular brand and based on historical interactions of ad creative that you've introduced, then you should be fine and there should be a high probability that the ad can actually work. And now if Facebook decides to not even distribute spend to the ad, that's fine as well. You've introduced the ad incredibly low cost to introduce an ad like this. There's no graphic design work done. This was a direct photo shoot that we've just tested the raws immediately with the copy, and it's worked well. Now, why has it worked well? This product was in relatively high demand with the target demographic anyway, so it was performing well just based on demand levers. This was being used in a bit of bottom of funnel targeting as well. And then, as you can likely guess, based on the person in the photo, this is obviously targeted towards gifting too. And so because this is a gifting-based product, it's very clear from the outset that the target demographic within the image isn't the person buying for themselves, that this would be a great gifting product to buy within November, December. And so once again, we haven't exclusively even gone with the gifting messaging here, but it resonates through the asset that that's exactly what this would be for, and that's why it's performing so well. Which goes to show that once you get above the bar of quality, it becomes very difficult to be able to predict whether an ad is going to perform well or not. If I was to have put a bet down, I would have said that this ad wouldn't have performed well, but it was at the bar of quality. We had it within an ad set where Facebook decided to not distribute spend to it and prioritize other creatives that I believe were better. But Facebook saw initial engagement on this creative, saw initial conversions rolling through, decided to distribute majority of spend into it, and it became a top performer. And then the 5th ad is a video.
Sick of hustling for Google reviews? Introducing our Google Review Plate. With a smartphone tap, customers land on your Google review page and leave a 5-star Google review. Forget QR codes and begging for reviews. Collect them in real time with our stickers. Turn happy customers into more customers with Australia's fastest-selling Google review stickers today.
So what made that video perform so well in the account? Well, there's 3 core pillars that I believe it hit, which is number 1, clarity. Number 2 is relevancy. And number 3 is engagement. So right out of the gates, there's clear messaging and the visuals quickly communicate what the product is and where the value lies. And you realize that within the first 3 seconds of the video, okay? It's very evident that right away, we know what the product is and we know what the value proposition is over the alternative, which is that you can put paper up and hope for QR codes, or you can switch to a NFC tap to review product, and that's that. Number 2 is it has relevancy and it's resonating with the target demographic directly. How is it doing that? The video is shot in an actual store with exactly the kind of consumer that they're trying to sell to. Okay, this is a local restaurant that is trying to get Google reviews. You can even see it right here. And then it's switching over, and the entire thing is shot in different restaurants and cafes. It's not being shot at an office or at home and they're just demonstrating how the product works. They've actually gone out and shot it in the exact scene in which the product would be used. And so anyone that has a shop, anyone that would be looking for a product like this, the second they see a video similar to this and they can identify that the background relates to their workplace, it's going to get the pause and it's also going to get the relevancy. And then number 3 is that it captures attention within the first few seconds quite clearly. Okay, so right immediately the hook in this video, which a few were tested, sick of hustling for Google reviews. There's obviously the pattern interrupt of the grab of the paper and then the immediate pan into the actual product. And so the video does a great job at actually hooking over the course of the first 3 seconds. It also has the generic AI voice that people are very used to now. Anyone that is looking at short form content has heard that voice before. And so it immediately catches relevancy there too. And so I would strongly recommend that when you're putting a piece of video content like this together, which the production cost here was almost zero, all it took was printing out an A4 piece of paper and going and shooting some quick clips and overlaying an AI voice, is number one, is there immediate clarity over what the product is and who they're selling to? Number two, does it demonstrate relevancy to the target demographic clearly within the first 3 to 4 seconds and then hold that for the remainder of the video? And then number three, is there a reason to stop within the first 3 seconds? Is there that pattern interrupt, which was very well done in this particular asset? And then you can start thinking about all of the secondary and tertiary elements of this video that could tie into your creative production process. The AI voice, and using an AI voice that people have heard before. Number two is cutting between shots every 2 to 3 seconds. So it's keeping a high engagement rate, which is surprisingly actually very hard to do with this, as it's such a simple product and there's not really many different directions that you can go here. But they've managed to continue to go in different directions every 2 to 3 seconds. And there's a strong call to action at the end. And so there's a lot of different secondary and tertiary elements that you can take into your creative design process and your production process. But the 3 main ones that I would really be thinking about is clarity, relevancy, and engagement. So that was the top 5 performing creatives of November. If you like this video, click a like, drop a comment, because we'll start to do this on a monthly basis as well.